All right. I think we're live.
Okay.
Yep, that's it. Well, Jonathan Luna, thanks for joining us, man. Us, thanks for joining me.
Glad to be here, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Still a little nervous? I'm nervous.
A bit,
Yeah. I need to work on it better.
but
Mhm.
grad school requires a lot of presentations. Might as well get it over with.
Well, this is good practice.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Well, at least you don't have to deal with it in front of people, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to hate when you listen to it because your voice is going to be really high pitched. I already know that about mine. Anyway, so discussion of topics. First thing first, might as well talk about what do you want to do with the avocados? People who don't know, Jonathan Luna has avocado farms in Mexico.
I'm sure a lot of people know, most of our friends, but if
Yeah.
you don't, yes.
Okay.
You know, I'm from Michoacan.
Mm-hmm.
From Uruapan, Michoacan. Uruapan.
Oh, okay. That's really funny because I work in Ottawa, Tennessee. I was like, what? There's a Ottawa there? Anyways.
We are the avocado capital of the world. If you see any other names claiming to be that, BS.
It's total bullshit.
Yeah, total bullshit.
Mm.
So, yeah, very great climate for the avocados to grow down there.
Yeah.
It's the green gold, really. You know,
Is it actually like that much money making? I noticed in Kroger because they doubled their prices on avocados now. They're like $1.99. I was talking about it on the last podcast.
Yeah, see, it's
Is that just because of the time of year?
it's taken up, yes, time of year. You know, harvesting they do twice a year. Start about May and then hit another harvest in around September, October. So it
Okay.
just depends on supply and demand.
Yeah, but you were
Yeah.
saying you deal to distributors. You don't deal straight to the.
Correct. We don't mess with any of the regulations for the U.S. The FDA does go down there occasionally, which I found crazy because Mexico's a third world country. I was like, these guys just store the avocados, ship them out.
They
No.
only want to see where
If
they're
you
going.
are gonna export to the U.S. or anywhere else, the FDA will go. You have to have a restroom there, even though it's just land in the middle of the mountains. They have to see you have
Porta potties and shit like that.
no
Legitimate restrooms?
legitimate restrooms.
How come
It's
over in
crazy.
California they have those like porta potties that are
'Cause
sitting on
there's
the side of the strawberry?
California avocados are shit.
No, okay. That's why.
California, Florida, Israel, Peru. They're not the same. You can taste the difference whenever you see them, and you'll see
Is
them
it a
from the
size
logo.
size difference
It's
too?
taste,
Okay.
texture.
What about those weird looking avocados that are green and giant? They look like big
I've
spheres.
seen those, the ones in Colombia.
Those are
I've
Colombia?
never. Yes, I mean, I don't know if they're from there, but I saw them called Colombian avocados.
Oh, okay.
I never tasted them.
Yeah, I'm used to the normal dark purple.
Small. The
Some
the
is
Haas
not-
avocados.
Yeah, Haas avocados.
Yeah.
Are those Mexican?
Yeah, I mean they're originally from there.
Oh,
So,
okay. I
California.
hear the name Haas and I'm like, German avocados?
California started growing some of those as well.
Wow.
So that's what we do. We sell to distributors. Distributors handle getting it over the border, and then they
Mhm.
have salesmen, I guess, that deals with Kroger, Walmart, smaller stores. So then they take care of the rest. I mean, they buy them from us for a very low profit.
Yeah.
It fluctuates. I couldn't tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like peso wise, it's a huge difference. It could be a week. It's honestly, it's like stocks. You're like, okay, it's going well right now. Should I
Yeah.
sell? You'll sell, and then next week
Price
twice as much. And this happened this year to us. We're like, shit. Last
Yeah.
year was a great year, but this year we're like, damn it.
Yeah.
But that's the risk you take. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
pays off. The money invested in it initially is a hit. Avocado trees take about 15 years to mature. You can start harvesting around.
You
8
told me that, and I was really skeptical. I was like,
15.
there's 15 years until they can actually grow.
fully mature. I mean, they'll harvest in about 7 or 8 years, a couple.
So fully mature, as in it'll start sprouting just avocados.
It'll give you
left
as
and right.
much as you're gonna expect from it. So an
Oh,
avocado,
okay.
yeah,
Oh, okay. That's what I was wondering because I see, everyone always grows the avocado plants inside their fridge, and it's like starts sprouting, and then they put it outside, and like, oh, it's already growing things, but still 7 years, and it's going
to
to start.
fully.
I mean, that's a long time.
Yeah. So I mean, let's say you get an expert. He'll be like, you can probably get about 500 avocados from this one. You're like, okay, and then you just like, okay, I'm probably gonna get 75 the year 8.
Yeah.
100 a year.
So the first 7 years is just maintaining,
So
and not even making money at all.
no, exactly.
Oh my
It's
god.
hell.
So how long did it take y'all until y'all started actually making money? And when did it start? That's the question. How big is the operation? You could go on. So when did it start, and then when did y'all actually start running the profit?
In Mexico, back then I can't remember exactly what year. You could just go and literally claim land. That's how it was. This was back like the U.S. was back in the 60s when you could like, okay, I'm going out to the West. This is my land now.
Louisiana Purchase, people.
Manifest destiny. What was it? I can't remember the exact year, but my mom and my
just
my
like
dad,
decades.
They told my dad and my uncle like, go put fence around it. This piece of land, and they went and did that. They could have gone more. I don't know why.
This was your parents?
My dad and my uncle. So it's
your dad and your uncle. Oh, so this is within the last like 30 years?
Yeah, this is like last 15 years.
Oh, so y'all just started sprouting?
Yeah,
and y'all just started really running the. Oh man, I didn't realize it was that soon.
It's 8. Ours are about 8 or 9 years now. So 07 or so. Dang. So this was probably like around 05 is when we went and got the land itself.
Yeah.
So they did that. We got 500 trees. I can't remember how many acres that is, but we're very fortunate to have a water source there because water is what avocados thrive on.
Yeah,
so people pay top dollar just to have water. So sometimes we charge other people just to pump from our little creek.
They'll pump from your well?
Creek.
Oh, creek. Okay, I was just about to do the math. So you got 500 trees, and now you get about 150.
I mean, I don't know how many it is.
What's it say?
Tons,
70?
about 40 to 50 tons is what we've been estimated to produce.
35,000 avocados. That's a good day. That was the thing that I wondered was because it's in the middle of winter. For my job, I travel out to Europe often, as you know. Some people don't. That's the only reason why I explained it. And out there at this one German restaurant that we'd always go to whenever we stayed in Germany, they had this salad called the Green and Green, and they always had avocados in the middle of winter. And I'm just thinking, Germany, the middle of winter, and they had fresh avocados. They were always delicious, soft, ripe, not any sort of little brown spots popping up, nothing. It was perfect. And I always wondered, like, how the hell did they get those avocados out all the way out here in the freezing weather and all that? But he told me that they came from Mexico and everything. Could have just been bullshitting me. But
no, I mean, they'll ship them. Like, Japan's a huge importer of avocados for them. It's 30 days by boat. So 30 days, I believe.
Sounds about right. When we ship our big units, it takes about 6 weeks to get to the place. And we ship them in freight containers on those giant boats with all the containers on them.
Yeah, see, they love them over there. So I don't know if you can. I don't know why that's the best way to.
Yeah, no.
Take them over there, but it seems to be working. And
I figured they would have gone bad by that point. I don't know how the rise was like. All right, fresh brown spots, they're good, they're good. But then, man, what was I gonna get at? Is so now it's been 15 years. Now you're starting to run a profit.
So yeah, it's just investing. You have to grow them. You have to put them a certain length apart. So the branches don't get into each other.
Start crossing.
Take care of them. You have to, the weeds all the time.
And how did you get word that the FDA came down there? Because obviously you're not.
I mean, we have an uncle that takes care of it down there.
Oh, okay. So he just sent you a message. It was like, man, we got FDA.
I mean, and I know because I was like, why do we have a bathroom? I'm like, this is Mexico, man. Just be in that avocado tree. They're like, no.
Can't do that.
If you want to export. They're very strict, and that's where the money is. Domestic, they don't sell as much. High, so.
Well, that's the thing about recently is that it's just exploded. Everybody's like,
crazy.
Avocados are super fruit.
Subway took it off,
Is it Subway or I don't know what happened. It was like someone had some sort of diet. It's just like when people say like fats weren't good, everyone started buying like sugar-based products, and now people are saying, oh, fats are good. So now they're buying like real butter and no margarine. Someone just said avocados are super fruit and then or super vegetable, and then bam,
we're riding this wave, man. We're riding. It's great. I don't know how long it'll last. Hopefully it'll last because there's nothing bad about them.
No, I don't think anybody can ever have an issue. So, it's like, hey, you haven't been eating too many avocados, right? That'd be really
crazy. As a kid, I did. I hated. It's crazy to say I hated avocados for about 3 to 4 years, because growing up, I was there for 5 years. I would eat like 3 to 5 a day.
2 to 5 avocados a day.
Yeah, because I mean they're on the floor, perfectly right, perfect.
You might as well. I mean, it's a filling food too.
So I would just have it so much. You're like, I can't have avocados.
Like, fuck this.
People look at me now. They're like, what? How?
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, but now I used to hate guac dip, but then someone made it fresh one time and they put spicy mustard in it at my work. It sounds crazy.
No, I mean, it was fine.
Yeah, people just it sounds crazy, but he put it in. I was like, oh, it's pretty good. And then I had like an avocado. I was just like, man, I just can't have an avocado plain. And then someone said to sprinkle salt on it. And it was delicious from then on. And then eventually you just adjust your taste. I was like, oh, I don't need salt. I can just
all these products that are coming up with avocados, lotion, shampoo.
Oh yeah, avocado
ice cream,
everything. Oil. Yeah, they're trying to say is like, oh, this is like the best thing for you. It's like and we just found out we don't know.
It
if
just
it's
has avocado. Honestly, you can have any product out of avocado. Be like, oh,
health.
it'll get me.
Yeah. Oh, look at that tape made of avocados. Yeah, sold. It's probably good organic stuff too. But okay, from moving on from there though, what about you want to get rid of the selling to the distributor?
I mean, that's always been like when you grow up and you're like, hey, shoot for the stars to see what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the potential. I mean, it is potential. Anybody can see it.
Yeah, you can totally do it.
I
guess organizing the
yeah,
actual
what I have is uncles and cousins and
logistics is where it comes down
they
to.
go. This is how they work. They'll go to I'd say you're in your 60s, 70s and you don't want to work you have 1,500 trees.
Yeah.
You don't want to work it. You're like, I'm tired. I don't want to work it. They'll come and they'll like, hey, we'll pay you cash right now what you're anticipating to get.
Yeah.
And we'll work it for you this year. So they'll
so
go
basically
in and
you get your profit and everything just handed.
Yes,
right
because when you sell, if you do it on your own, you sell it. You're not gonna get. They're not. The distributor's not gonna pay you right away. They'll pay you in increments, and it's kind of a hassle at times.
Is it concentrated? Like, is there like not concentrated? Is there a estimate? Where it's like, well, we should make this much by the end of 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, well, you've been doing it for years.
Yeah,
you've been harvesting your own land for years, so you know but based off the market, what they're selling for, how much you're gonna get, and you're always gonna give them a little cut because they're gonna be working on it.
Yeah, definitely.
So they go in, and I'm talking hypothetically here, nobody, $100K cash. Yeah. You're like, okay, I'm fine, $100K. Now I have my money.
And then you just
they'll come in and work it,
like,
and
do
then they'll sell it
and everything.
Yes, they'll do everything.
So you don't have to do a thing.
No, you got
just
the money,
own the land.
and you're getting it back after the year ends.
Damn.
So you own the land. So they come in, they'll work it, they'll harvest it,
yeah,
and they'll distribute it. And then let's say they sell for 150. They made 50K right then. But it's also a risk because it could be a bad market.
More.
Yes,
it could be a really good year, and they're just gonna say, "Oh, we spent 100K, but we sold $1 million in products."
Yeah, so
that's a good.
So
point.
That's what they do. They're like, dude, the supply's there.
Yeah,
we get it to you in Texas and McAllen.
The thing that I wonder is, since it's FDA has to go down there because you're importing or importing into the U.S. How come like the labor task force doesn't come in and check for that shit as
because
well?
Because that's part of the Mexican government. They can't handle. They can't handle that. They can't get involved. That's what the Swiss shops. Everybody knows they exist in China, but you can't do anything about it. Here you are with your iPhone.
Sure this jacket came from
Here you are with your iPhone.
Oh, 100%. Well, the people that sit there are like, oh, it's just so bad what they do over there, and then sitting there's like, where'd you buy that shirt from? J. Crew. Okay. Okay.
So nobody does anything.
Well, I just figured it's so weird that I understand. I guess because you're ingesting the food, and they're like, "Oh, we have to make sure that the food's not going to be toxic, so on and so forth."
Well, but I figured nobody wants to. You don't want somebody shitting everywhere.
Is that how it gets? I don't know how E. coli spreads.
I mean, I guess.
Is it because people shit?
Yeah, like it gets with the, or even like when you're cleaning something with sewage. I mean, if you put like sewage water, that's how you get E. coli.
Really?
I believe, yeah.
It's fucking nasty. We could check that shit. We'll check it later, maybe.
Fact
checks. Yeah, we could check that later. And then, well, I don't know. I just figured that's a little hypocritical of them to say it's like, well, you got to maintain this stuff. Hey, child, you missed an avocado. I don't see how they can actually sit and advocate for one thing and not finish up the job. But I see what you say.
These are things coming into their country. That's why.
That's true.
So if you want, you don't have to do it. You're just not gonna get the money from importing.
Because it's not going to be FDA
Yeah,
approved.
and I don't know if I believe I guess Japan's the same way in Europe.
I can see that, but since it's not FDA approved, you could still sell it.
You sell it domestically,
but you don't have. Well, you can't sell it in there. Like you couldn't.
You can still literally shit avocados domestically,
but
lower price.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be able to export it to.
No, anywhere.
You wouldn't be able to ship it to the U.S.
Nope.
So then. That's where I wonder is like, how come you can do like supplements? Because there is not I don't think there's a single supplement, where you get like those multivitamins and all that. I don't think there's a single one that's FDA approved.
Oh.
Because you have to spend tons of money to get FDA approval or something like that. Food and Drug Administration,
years.
Right? Yeah, and they have to do a full-on inspection. And supplement companies or just mom and pop companies, they can't afford to get all that, so they start small, selling locally, so on and so forth, where they just go by the health and safety rules of restaurants. And then once they grow big from like getting a deal with Shark Tank, so on and so forth, that's how they make it, and that's how they're able to distribute it to all these other places.
Talking about like pharmaceuticals?
No, I'm just talking about just mom and pop shops, not pharmaceuticals. I'm talking like go to Walmart and you buy fish oil containers. Like those aren't FDA approved.
containers.
You know, you get a container
Like
of fish oil pills.
vitamins.
Yeah, vitamins,
Oh.
multivitamins is what I was talking about. Like Centrium. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure Centrium is because it's a brand name. But I think Healthy Accents or Health Accents is like the Walmart brand.
Oh, I mean,
Right?
yeah, I don't know.
I don't
anything
know enough about it,
pharmaceuticals.
but I always hear people saying like protein shakes aren't FDA approved. People think you get cancer from them, and I mean,
We'll find out in 10 years from you.
yeah, okay. I had a problem with the hospital, but I'm not going to talk about that. Let's see. So then that's all the avocados. Is any sort of tax changes on the new tax bill or any sort of tax changes from the Trump
Importing?
administration going to affect y'all?
No, I mean, he just wants things to be grown. He just wants things to be consumed domestically. So I guess you might see an increase in the sales from California and Florida avocados, and maybe a decrease in the importation. But
You think it's going to affect y'all at all?
I don't. Nothing that I've seen has been specifically written to affect us. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's more of a mindset that he wants people to think
Yeah.
domestic products are better
Yeah.
in that sense. But I mean, products is different from just, I guess, produce. I mean, I don't know what you can do to besides genetically engineer it to alter the produce from.
Giant avocados that are like this big.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what those Colombian ones do. They always like inject it with a bunch of hormones.
it could be. But
I don't
I don't
know
know
how
if
it
more of a mindset that he wants to, and people are gonna stop importing as much. But I
Mm.
don't think so.
Mm.
I think the hype. We're riding the hype train right now, and it's real.
Oh, it's Trump power, Trump nation. Well, that's what I was wondering because the new tax bill just placed, and people who don't know, Johnny is an accountant.
Yes,
So-
not a tax accountant.
Not a tax accountant. So
So
his
nothing.
advice on this next segment is not going to be anything that y'all should listen to. You shouldn't be like, well, Johnny Luna told
No,
me
no,
did
no.
this.
Yeah.
We're just giving our ground-based input on it. And
Mm.
from what I read, based off my stats or like my tax bracket, I'm benefiting from the tax changes. Are you benefiting?
Yeah, I think it's a small reduction. I've done the math, but it's very small.
Mm.
Thing some people haven't looked at is that most of the individual cuts will go away in 5 years. So
What do you mean the individual cuts? Like
I
what?
mean, I haven't read the list of them, but there's a lot that are going away in 5 years that people don't take into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Are you talking about like standard itemized
No, no.
deductions?
yes.
Okay.
I don't know specific ones that are going away. People
But they're
are gonna
just saying-
benefit right now, like you're saying.
Yeah,
But when in 5 years, when those go away, you're gonna get screwed.
yeah, you're gonna get screwed out there.
And
Yeah.
people don't see that the corporations, their taxes are staying forever.
That's what my brother was telling me. He says their tax has been dropped from
39.6% to 20%.
to 20%.
So I actually read an article about what they want to invest in. Obviously,
The goal is
we're
to get
no
them to
political
invest.
affiliation, but
Yeah, we don't really
the
care.
the goal was, if we decrease your tax rate, you're gonna reinvest in your
No more foreign accounts and
employees,
nothing.
your employees, you give them a raise. Obviously, it's gonna go to
Yeah.
VPs and bonuses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You want to see you don't want to see that, but I saw an article that Boeing, AT&T, Wells Fargo is gonna increase their minimum wage to like $15 for their cashiers. I mean, the
Shit.
tellers.
Dang.
I mean, it's
That's
easier
pretty
said
good.
than done, though.
Yeah, no, and then also, where's the $15 an hour? $15 an hour out in California is not $15 an hour out in Dalton, Georgia.
So exactly.
Yeah, because $15 in Dalton, Georgia is
That's
that's a
yeah.
pretty good starting job. That's you can support a good bit on that, but out in California you can't do anything. But then the itemized deductions, the one that most people complained about that I noticed was the student loans. People weren't going to be able to write those off, but in the final draft of it that they signed, did he sign it before the year's
I
end?
believe so.
Okay, the one that he signed recently it allowed you to still do the standard $2,500 worth of tax
Interested?
write-off and
Okay.
student interest. Yeah,
I didn't.
I paid attention to that one because I benefit from that. I've got tons of student loans, and $2,500 in interest. You're
That's
like,
a
oh
lot.
wow, it's a lot of money, but I had a lot more than that. So I was sitting there, I was like, we could bump that to 5, and I'd be really happy. But I mean, right now, from what I'm seeing, though, I'm going to benefit. But there was one thing that my brother pointed out. I don't know if it's true, which is you said that the taxes on the businesses are now permanent, 21%-ish.
Yeah,
20
21%. I don't know what the final number
20-ish
was.
percent, and the low 20s. And then those who had foreign accounts, though,
Yeah,
would not
yeah,
be
yeah.
penalized.
Well, no, they will be.
They will be?
Yeah, 12%, I believe.
12 additional percent for having
No,
foreign
no,
accounts?
this is just 12%. Like if they bring the cash into the U.S., what they want to do.
They want to tax them 12%.
Yeah, so most of the companies right now were in Ireland. I think they were a tax haven for for a long time.
That's why people always
went
say
away.
I have a Swiss bank account and shit like that.
That went away recently.
Uh-huh.
So what Trump wants to do is have the cash assets come back into the U.S. at a one time, I believe, very low rate.
So they're allowed to bring all the money back.
I think at one time at a very low rate, and then going forward at a 12% rate. I can't remember the exact numbers.
So I'm guessing what you're saying is he's basically saying, like, look, we're going to forgive y'all for doing this.
I don't think it's completely free.
It's not, no, but it's going to be like a tax, like, look, we understand why you did. You got to bring it in. You're going to charge you, but this is the lowest rate you're going to get for this one time. Take advantage of it, because otherwise, how's that work? Otherwise, they're just going to leave it there.
I mean, they'll have to find somewhere.
Yeah.
But I don't know where they'll go after Ireland stops. They'll have to find another place, and I'm sure they will. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, they want to look good to the U.S. consumers, and so they'll want to bring it in. But if you look at their point of view, these are products.
The business point of view? Okay.
So Apple's making your phone in China. They're selling it to the U.K. Yeah. This has nothing to do with the U.S. So in their mindset is like, why am I paying U.S. tax dollars if these are things that they were not manufactured in the U.S., that were not sold to the U.S. So why? So
why would they pay that? Why not pay taxes in the UK?
So that's why,
That's a good point.
I mean, they pay taxes in the UK and they'll pay taxes in China, but why did they? What does the U.S. have to be doing? Like, I mean, just as they're headquartered here.
Is he trying to get them, like, basically where the headquarters is where all the main money should be funded? All the main
money should be coming back to.
Yeah, come back to. Because, okay, isn't that what's going on with AT&T? They're trying to centralize that from the China office at Turner to come here. I don't know enough about it, so I don't know. One of our friends works there, and he was. Maybe we shouldn't really talk about this. Nothing's going on.
But so that's what their main issue was before, when there was a high percentage. Like, why do you want us to bring it back? Yeah. Lower the taxes, and we'll bring some of the cash back. But this has nothing to do with I mean, we're headquartered here, so I guess that has something to do with it.
That's kind of like owning. You'll see a Hard Rock Cafe out in Rome, Italy, or wherever, and then, I mean, they're not going to sit there and like, all right, now that we have paid the Italian taxes, time to pay the U.S. taxes. That's stupid. No, I'm going to side with the businesses on that. I don't think it's right. The taxes where they should pay it, personally, is where the item is sold in the end. And
manufactured.
Manufacturing, I mean, you're paying labor taxes. You got to pay labor taxes.
I would assume.
In China, we'll see. Pay that kid a bowl of rice. It'll be good. Give him some clothes. I think... I don't know, people are skeptical on it, and I think it works good for now, but I just wonder what the long-term effects are down the road, where it's like, oh, yes, we saved money, and you said a lot of itemized deductions are going away.
Yeah.
That's going to suck. I wonder if they took away home mortgage insurance, that would be a big one. Interest, not home mortgage interest, insurance interest, because that one you have up to like a write-off of $750,000 if you have, like, multi-million-dollar home. But for me, I mean, that saves me a ton of money each year, and that drops in the
taxable income.
Yeah, definitely. And then with the standard deduction doubling, standard. I mean, was it $1,250 now? $1,250. That's way bigger than last year. I think it was
right last year. If you added the standard and the personal exemption, it was like $10,400.
Oh, altogether.
So you're getting about $2,000 more.
That's pretty good. I don't know.
I mean, and most people, they estimated about 90% should just take the itemized. I mean, the standard deduction.
Yeah, nobody a lot of people. Now. Well, they try itemizing. Like they said, the guy that I went to last year, he said, "Hey, I'm not a tax expert, so I pay someone to do mine." And it was very helpful because he saved me a ton of money. Which was, I said, like, "Hey, I've got all this taxable stuff, all the stuff I pay taxes on throughout the years. Like, I'm gonna stop you there." It's like there's no way it adds up to about $8,000.
People don't realize that these guys are going out and going to these pop-up tax places, they're getting charged like what 3 to 5%. Some of these people are getting back like 8,000 to 9,000 because they have a couple of kids and all this, and they're losing so much money.
They could actually get more.
And then these people give them an advance for they're like, hey, we'll take 10% if and we'll give you the money now, and they're like, yeah,
because they want the money right now.
Take advantage of these people.
No, it's.
I don't understand these pop-up tax places and why people go.
Well, people don't know what they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing.
No,
I went to people don't know, and if you haven't been educated on that, which I mean, honestly, what high school class taught you how to do taxes? That's a class that would be really beneficial.
Yeah, that's true. I just took it in my master's, but this is the first time I took it.
You know, Johnny's doing masters in what?
Accounting.
You are doing accounting. Okay, so your first degree was finance, though, right?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Anyways, we'll get back to that later. But I think it just comes down to the education level. You don't know what you're doing. You probably get paid a pretty low end job, and then people say, "It's like, oh man, they give me $50 just for doing it right there." And it's like, shh, as a gas tank.
And you'll get back 8,000 to 9,000, which you were already gonna get back.
Yeah, and if you knew how to do it yourself, now you're saving 5% of it. You probably know that faster than I do. That's a couple. That's a couple $100.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I paid a couple $100 last year to have a tax person.
450. Yeah.
You paid $450.
No, I mean that's how much you would.
It would be $450 if. Oh, jeez. No, see, mine. I paid I think $200, but the guy ended up.
Jeez.
I had to, cause when I went on
Why?
to one of those tax calculators. My dad said this is how they get you. I plugged in all my information, and you know how when you have a tax bracket, you have stage 1 is $0 to $12,000.
Yeah,
Let's just
that's
say what
it,
that. That's
yeah.
9%, and then 12,000 to 52 was 20%, and then blah blah blah. Well, what tax bracket I was in, it took the full percentage of that amount rather than the 9% of 12, the 20.
Oh.
It did that, and it said like I owed $8,000. I was like,
Wait, what?
yeah, it said I owed 8, and I kept doing it. I went to all these other tax calculators, and every single one of them said the same thing. So I ended up going to H&R Block, and the guy's like, no, that's stupid. I don't know what's going on. I was like, it was on your website too. He goes, well, you're getting $3,000 back, so no need to sweat a gun.
That's not good either way.
Yeah, no, it's not. Well, I mean, I was glad to get 3. I try to level it out to where I don't get anything back. I want to pay money, and then I want to get.
Like
I want to get maybe 500 back, because then I have a buffer zone, maybe 1,000, because people don't realize you're basically giving the government an interest-free loan.
Exactly.
So people
see like, oh, I'm getting money back, and unless you have a bunch of like, unless you have kids, all you did was give them an interest-free loan. And
Yeah.
Did they give you an interest-free loan? No,
not at all. It's like, oh, you want to go to school? All right, 6%. No, and we could not charge you interest, but we're going to. And then I just don't get why that is. Have you started realizing that something I started noticing was that a lot of jobs now, you don't even need the degree that you have.
No,
you don't.
it's
like
experience.
It's experience, and this also comes down to is like, you seem like a nice guy. I like this person better than that person. I mean, I've interviewed people where I was like, man, this guy was pretty cool. I don't really like Franklin. I don't know.
I mean, the degree pretty much says you can be taught.
Yeah,
you paid a lot to be taught.
That's exactly what my dad said. When I graduated, he says, look, now that you got a degree in engineering, it doesn't mean you're an engineer. It says you have the competency to become an engineer. You're not going to be an engineer for at least 10, 15 years. And at that point, you're looking at retirement. You're like, okay, what do I need to do to invest to retire? And then, but like a lot of jobs, there's some people, if I known what I know about welding now, I would not have gone to college. I would have. Yeah, it's only 14-week school, and I've got people who are getting paid well above me, and they're traveling the world like I do, and they're taking advantage of hourly pay, and they get to do whatever the hell they want. And I'm just, it's like, man. And I'm in office. Well, I'm in my office, and then I'm also like, and I'm drowning in debt where I'd have no debt. These guys, multiple girls, they're just traveling and just having a blast, and they have no student loans because they recognize that technical skills are just as valuable. And sometimes just meeting the right people and staying in the right job, like, well, I was a manager at Ace Hardware, so now I run was it Merrill Lynch? Manager there. So what does your master's program consist of now? Like, it from the finance to now, are you actually learning stuff, or are you just starting to realize like I already know this stuff? And it's
just a lot of the things I did know already, but it's just going in debt.
To go in debt?
Yeah, no, not in in debt and in depth.
Oh, in depth. Oh, there's a P.
So you'll take like the basic income statement, and then you'll have a complete chapter on just current assets, and just they'll take it and break it down and go focus in depth again.
Why are you going back for your master's though?
That I need trying to get the CPA, so I need 150 credit hours.
Yeah,
a bachelor's 120, and you also need 30 hours of upper level accounting. So all I needed was 30 hours. So I was like, okay, I need 30 hours, and I need 30 hours upper level accounting, which is exactly what a master's is.
Yeah. Oh, so you're getting a master's in the
Exactly.
So
And then I'm practicing for the CPA as I go. Some of these questions are on the textbooks, like, oh, these were in the CPA exam last year, the year before.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm seeing how it is. It's as if I was going to a library and studying for the CPA exam.
Oh, so by the end of it, you're just gonna be able to take it and you'll be fine. Yeah. Are you learning that from your job now?
Yeah,
like all this
it's
stuff?
crazy how I go.
One?
It's crazy how when I go back, I'm like, I listen to my CFO. I was like, I know exactly what you're talking about. I didn't know this 6 months ago.
Yeah. Well, that's what you have to work under a CPA though to become that though.
Yeah,
right?
You have to sign off on a year's worth of work for you under certain.
1 year.
Yeah,
really?
they've lowered it. They want more CPAs because a lot of the baby boomers are retiring.
Yeah.
So they're losing CPAs. So they're like, okay, we need to get more.
Oh, because a lot of elderly people work as CPAs and not
nobody
many people.
does that
Nobody
now.
thinks about CPAs. Yeah.
Nobody does that, man. When people tell me to come do like a career day, it's like, okay, how do I get you excited about being an accountant?
Have you ever enjoyed math, children? Me neither.
Yeah, talk to a third, fourth grader.
I'm about to say, that's the thing that I never understood. It's like career day is like, this is our. You know what
tough.
jobs they want when they're there? Firefighters.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm a doctor.
Space cowboy.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I'm an astronaut. Whoa. I could just lie and just say I'm an astronaut. Or I'm a Red Bull racer, and then I'm going to do that next time.
Show me some videos. That's me.
Yeah. see that race car? You only see my helmet. And then, that's that fast. I don't know. See, this is the parts where I'm getting at, where me and Omar are trying to work on, and me and other people who have been talking.
What?
I'm kind of running out of talking points at this point.
Nah, we're good.
We're doing good.
Yeah.
I don't know what the next topic should be though.
I mean, just keep
going. How's your beer?
No.
Not that.
No.
Not that topic.
We'll talk about what I was gonna do. You said my goal with the. We'll go back to the first thing we talked about.
What's the goal with the CPA?
Well, okay. So now we're here with the CPA. This is my.
You've got your CPA,
and now going back to what we initially talked about, the avocado.
The avocado.
So the whole reason I got into being a CPA or trying to be a CPA.
Oh, are you gonna run the accounting for that?
Was to get experience in the field.
Dude, this sounds like really like. Next level is like I've been planning my whole life.
Well, I mean, I'm telling you,
this
might not happen. This could. I mean, we're just two dudes.
I think you could, man.
In your room.
Well, I mean,
this is how they start.
This is how it all started. I mean, people thought it was. I mean, some people said it was like, "What are you gonna talk about on podcast?" Nothing. I had tons of people suggesting, "It's like, oh, you need to make it look edgy. It's gonna be fun." Part of me just says like, I don't really give a shit. You know, I'm just gonna talk about random stuff and try to learn new topics.
Random stuff, you know.
I've learned more about the taxes. I've learned more about accounting and how a CPA gets their position. And I don't even, honestly, certified personal accountant. I know that's what that means.
Perfect.
I don't even know what the fuck they do. So besides running an accountant firm, I don't know. So what are you gonna do with the avocados though?
Huh?
Certified professional.
Public accountant.
Oh, I thought public. No, that was personal.
No, I mean CPAs run like companies.
They really? I don't see. This is opposite. See,
Okay.
You asked me what runs a company.
You're rarely gonna see a CFO who's not a CPA. And you don't have to be a great. You know, my teachers always said you don't have. You don't. I've seen great accountants that are not CPAs.
Yeah.
You can do. I mean, it's just a license thing that makes you. I guess
it just like, gives you access to new things.
Yeah.
And new titles and new jobs.
I believe so. Just like your pay range just goes way up.
I would do it.
But it's not the same like a law degree where this is your livelihood.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you get the licensing for the bar, it's like
you have to.
Yeah, it's not like a nursing teaching.
If you've ever
boards.
gone to like the court, like I went with my parents, and they're like the judge is like, you can't pass this line. I was like, so you would need to have a law degree to pass this line, right? This imaginary line, pretty much. And he's like, yeah.
I wonder if you could represent someone from behind the line. Sir, I'd like to call to the stand. Who are you?
I was like, dude, I need to interpret. They're like, no, we have somebody. Unless you're a lawyer, you can't pass this line. So it's not like that. The CPA, people are always like, why do you need it? And I guess you don't.
Yeah.
But that's gonna open up a lot of doors for you. Like,
yeah,
let's
100%.
say your company shuts down.
CPA is gonna come in.
You're gonna get a job offers anywhere.
Yeah.
As a CPA.
Well, everyone needs to have their books counted and working.
It's crazy. Every company, from the smallest.
Yeah. And more than likely,
has to meet regulations.
I guess if you think about it, and that's what CPAs all know. They know the laws.
It's crazy how my CFO knows every IRS law. Like I was like, how do you know that? Like I spent
Has he
in
run
my
into
text.
issues where he's actually said, "It's like, oh fuck, I need to figure out how we get out of this"? Or
No, not yet, because he's always on top of things.
yeah,
It's
Shout out.
crazy
Good
how
job,
like
man.
I've seen him do some bonds that I'm doing. And I was like, and I'm having a hard time learning them. I'm like, this guy did them 20 years ago. How do you remember this?
Yeah.
It's great learning from having a great mentor,
Well,
honestly.
Well, I guess if you think about it, it's like after like repetition, eventually it gets embedded in you. And
Yes.
since from a start, obviously there's some codes he probably has to look up occasionally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did public accounting when he was younger, I believe. And they've always said do that because you get into different industries.
Yeah.
If you go into private, like let's say here when I started in Dalton, it was manufacturing. So all I knew was manufacturing. Let's say you throw me into software. I won't know
You're not gonna know.
They don't have inventory compared to manufacturers. These guys have millions of dollars worth of inventory, but they're like, what?
Software. They've like
we don't even do paper. We're a paperless company. You're like, whoa, what? So
where do you keep the books? It's like right here. This flash drive.
Exactly.
It's efficient. It's stored right there.
So public accounting lets you have access to everything, all of that. I mean, you get to audit software. You get to audit.
You can audit software. Oh, well, I guess you audit.
Software companies.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
startups.
I was sitting there, I was like, how do you audit software?
No. Yeah,
That's
so
impressive.
revenue recognition with them it's tough because their projects are. I'm sure yours are the same over.
Oh my god.
Over years of time, and the IRS doesn't let you recognize all of that, but they want you to recognize them because revenue that you recognize means taxes that they get.
Yeah, taxes that they get. Well, see, that's the stuff that I don't even understand. There are people. This is where I think accountants are good, and you have estimators and, like you said, auditors. But the estimators at our company are incredible. They'll have these companies, just to refresh people, design tow trucks and all that, and sometimes we get contracts from militaries. So they'll have militaries come in. It's like, hey, we want this truck, but we want to have this, and we want to put it on this truck chassis, and we want it to be able to do this, lift this, blah, blah, blah. They'll take all that information. The best accountants, I tell you what, man. And they'll be like, yeah, the truck's going to cost that much. A day later. And I was like, how on earth? And it was like, well, I took the basis. I did a comparison. I had the inflation average. So this year it's going to cost this much. But half year mark is going to increase because of inflation, which was anticipated by the past 10. I'm just like, he goes on and on. I talked really faster there. But and it just all passed y'all. And it passes me every time. It doesn't make
BS
any
numbers.
sense.
And you're like, yes.
I agree. He says it with such confidence. I'm just like, yeah, he's right. He just shows me paperwork, it's an Excel spreadsheet, and it's like, and there's your number. Where do I sign? Right? We're good. But that's something that even CPAs do, though. I would assume they do estimations. They do basically whatever you would want. They balance the books. They do everything.
I mean, these guys, they specialize in a lot of things. But after a couple of years of doing the same thing, you just know. Yeah. Like, you just sit there and you'll be like, did you even look that up? Like, now I've been dealing with it.
I remember it.
You know, they change a lot. Like, this new tax reform, that's going to be...
How would that affect you? That's a good call. How is that going to affect your job? Because
my
do you
job
work
is
on
not...
the...
Yeah, but my job's not going to get affected by it.
Well, do you not work with the payroll?
No, that's HR.
Oh, yeah. It's like, no,
that's that's a different thing. Some smaller companies will have... you have one account. Yeah, and they mostly do go hand in hand, but... Nothing that's gonna affect my everyday job, but like public accounting firms will get affected because their revenues. I mean, they're just gonna get a lot of tax questions about it. Yeah, revenue recognition, which I'm not gonna get into because it's boring. Is gonna change, I believe, this year or next year. So that, I mean, all you're looking at is high employment for tax attorneys and CPAs.
Okay,
and the death of small tax return places because. With the itemized deduction going up, I keep saying that with the standard deduction going to 12, most people are going to take that. So
why do you need to be paying someone
again, if you go down, if you're just single and you go get your taxes,
that's what
TurboTax or find something else, find something online. Yeah. Unless you feel like you spend a lot and you need to itemize. Yeah. You need to itemize the underwear you bought for your interview. I guess.
How much underwear did you buy? Shit.
If they add up more than 12,000, and I guess.
I only buy handmade Armani. So, how much is each pair? $12,000. Well, that's a good point. Then go ahead, write it off. I'm surprised that some stuff even has taxes. Like, for instance, food. I don't think there should be a tax on food. It's a necessity. Clothing. That's debatable because people are going to buy a suit. I mean, that's not necessarily a necessity. But I think food from the get point. Like, do you have any things that you think shouldn't be taxed?
I mean, the whole concept of double taxation to me sounds weird because when you're getting paid your salary, you get taxed, and
then you got to pay tax
and then
on
you
the product.
Go turn around and get paid tax. That's the whole.
The one that gets me more than anything it drives me up the wall. They could, if there was a, I say this to everybody, if there was a governor or whoever could take away the ad valorem tax, I'll explain what that is for those who don't know. I'll tell you about it. Well, I'll just tell you what it is, and then I'll explain what I would do. Is you basically imagine you buy a car from a dealer.
Oh, that's it.
You buy a car from a dealer, you're going to have to pay sales tax on that. And then when you sell that car, you have to pay taxes on the money that you've sold it for, even if you sold it for a loss. And then the next year.
Oh.
Yeah, because it's like a six. So let's say you bought it for $25,000, sold it for $20,000. You have to pay taxes because you've had an additional income of $20,000.
Yes.
And then
But you can
that
take
person,
the loss of 5,000, you can deduct that.
see, I don't know these things.
Okay,
I'm
keep
glad
going.
you told me, but I'm gonna keep going. But the person that buys that car has to go to the tax tag office. They have to pay tax on that,
Yes.
and they have to pay a tax on the value of the car because you just bought it. Where if you think about it, the taxes on that vehicle was paid the moment that it was sold on the lot, sales tax. But there could be 5 people later, and each 5 of those individuals could have paid taxes. Now that Johnny's explained, you can write off a $5,000 loss.
Yeah.
But let's say down the line, there's still every one of those people is going to have to pay taxes on that vehicle in Georgia, at least. I don't know about other states because I know this is a Georgia thing, and sometimes I think Tennessee as well. Someone buys that car that you sold, they have to pay taxes on it. When they sell it to a person, the person that bought it that time has to pay taxes on it. And it's just a never-ending cycle. You can buy a 1954 Ford F100, and you're going to have to pay taxes on it.
I've been paid like 10 times because it's changed owners 10 times.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is where the accountants come to play. I mean, they'll find loopholes. It's crazy, some of these things. Like, well, and that's what the rich people pay. You know, they'll.
Yeah. I mean, they pay big bucks for their accountants.
And they save millions at times.
Well, and that's where some people talk shit about the Trump because it's at their, or just big businesses. It doesn't even have to be Trump. Just to say a big business. Let's take Trump out of it. A big business. They're like, oh, man, they're not paying taxes on all this stuff. It's like, you can get mad at them, but they're doing that legally.
Mm-hmm.
Their accountants are good at what they do, and that's why they're paying barely anything in taxes.
We had a question in my final what the difference between tax evasion and tax avoidance is, I believe. And one is basically legal and not legal.
Yeah, exemption.
Like the IRS wants you to, they don't care if you legally deduct anything that has has to do with, like, let's say if you own a business that has to do with your business, that they're fine with it.
Yeah,
deduct as much as you want. We don't care.
Just do it right. Just do it legally, and we don't care.
Tax evasion would be like I pay you under the table. I don't pay taxes on your employment. That
for
would
instance, if I could actually say that this is my business and I've taken a loss for all the shit that I bought, right? Easily. Oh, I need to remember that. But then again, does that affect your income? Because what if you haven't made anything and you file taxes on your business? Do you get money back?
No, I don't. Yeah. But see, that, like I said, I'm not a tax accountant.
Yeah, we'd have to go more in depth. We need to find a tax accountant, people. So if you know anybody,
call us out on all the wrong things we've said today.
I'm sure there's plenty.
Yeah.
Something with that. Actually, the best avocados come from Florida. That
okay,
one, we're gonna stop you there. That nonsense. Well, that's interesting. And some of the stuff though, I wish it could just be simple where everyone just played a flat tax.
And the crazy thing about it is we have students from Europe, and they're like, why do you guys do such a weird thing over there? They'll take the taxes from us as already.
Yeah.
And we don't have to file a return. They file it for us at the end of the year.
It's
there's
done.
None of this turbo taxes. There's none of this BS. Yeah. And then they come here, and I'm looking at them like, what are you talking about? Like, because to me that concept has always existed.
Yeah, you've always had
to them, they're
do
like,
your taxes.
What
is doing your taxes? Well, that's where I also noticed. Well, that's where they have healthcare. They have all these things.
It's a big difference, right?
There's a big difference. Like, for instance, didn't we have a friend, or we know someone who broke their arm out in Paris or out in France? Was it you that knew it?
No.
There's someone I know that broke his arm out in Paris, walked into the hospital. I don't know how he did it, but walked into the hospital. They fixed him up. He's like, all right, what do I have to pay? He's like, no, you're good. It's like, but I don't. He's like, you're good, man. He just wrapped him up and sent him out. He had to pay money when he came to the States to get it taken off, though. That was weird. I was like, I don't see how that works. Let's get scissors. But
so everything's out. And every single tax reform that's coming into play is like, we're trying to simplify. There's nothing simplified about.
There's not. If you can't, there's one guy, he said if you can't put it on 2 pages, it's too much. It's too much.
Have you read it? It's 500 pages. Before they passed it.
Well, you know how long the last tax bill was, right?
No.
It was like 30,000.
What the one like 1987?
I'm gonna have to check this because I remember I looked at it. Was, yeah, 1987 was the recent one.
The biggest one.
1987 tax.
And our teacher always said that people are like, this was who was the president then? Reagan.
87.
Yeah.
Well, you can look that up while I look this up.
But whoever it was, they were like, he promised us a tax cut, and I think he told me he was a working CPA at the time. He's like, no, he made it out to be like that, which is I think the way that's kind of happened now. And what it was is everyone's taxes pretty much went up, but he just played at everybody to make it seem like. And if you don't look into it, the same way here, you're looking at it, you're like, oh I'm getting, like you were mentioning, I'm getting a tax break, I'm benefiting from this. Like in 5 years when anything goes away.
That's great that it worked then, but now we
now
gotta get back and repair.
Now the next administration is gonna take the hit.
I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah.
Then they're gonna be like, look what you did to our taxes.
So they're like, you need to resign and extend all the deductions that are going away.
Yeah.
But believe
the negatives of those things, because the deductions go away, debt ceiling raises higher, and then in which case they're like, well, he raised the debt.
Yeah, exactly. So people who don't know anything, they're gonna think it's his fault, but in reality,
I never even thought about it like
whoever
that.
the new administration is gonna be in 5 years, there's a thing called the Byrd Law, I believe, that the new tax reform couldn't increase a federal deficit by more than 1.5 trillion. This increased it by 1.49 something.
I thought it was like 1.6. I thought I busted it.
No, that was before. Then they had to. That's why they
had to change it.
Correct.
For the final
and
draft.
just to get under it.
Yeah.
So in order to get under it, they have to take away all those deductions after 5 years. So.
Oh.
So you get the new administration, who's gonna be forced. They're like, keep the deductions, keep everything.
But you can't.
But you can't because then
the debt ceiling is gonna be right. I like how people think it's like, we need to lower the debt ceiling. It's never going to happen. It's always going to keep growing. Now it's just how to slow it down.
Yeah.
That's all it's ever going to be. I mean,
the
they're giving
wildfires, pretty much like California wildfires out there.
Yeah, it's going. You know what the solution is? Move people. Then it's not going to be a problem. That's all it is. You think like, oh, we don't have enough water. It's like, well, if you moved, there wouldn't be as many people using the water, and they could just hose it down outside in their backyard. That's my idea of it.
Yeah, I'm sure that's easy.
Yeah, well, the thing that pisses me off, because I go out to see my grandpa out in California all the time, it drives me up the wall when you have all this dry, arid landscape. You threw a cigarette out the window.
Oh, really?
No, if you did, it would just light up the whole thing. It's just so dry. It's nasty.
It's so hot, I guess.
It's not even hot. It's just arid.
Oh, really?
It's windy and arid.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, once you go over the mountains on the coast, then it gets hot. But once you're on the coast, it's nice and cool. But you'll be driving up the coast the whole time. You see golf courses. You see expensive homes, and they're watering their lawns. And I'm just like, what? Why I don't give a shit what they are paying. And they're probably paying, it's like, oh, I pay a really high water bill. That doesn't replace water. Money doesn't fix the problem. They think it does.
We think that.
You think
everything.
It's like, oh, invest, research. Oh, just give them money. No. You need scientists. You need people who understand this. You need... Which maybe money will pay for more scientists in some places, but when it comes to food and water, it's land, it's development, it's investing in the agriculture. I don't know. I'm kind of going off on a different tangent. But the point is, like, why the hell, if there's these arid conditions and there's fires going on, why are these golf courses and rich homes watering their lawns and plants to make it look pretty? That's stupid. I hate shit like that.
The rich?
Yeah, be nice. But then again, I don't know.
But yeah, that's what I mean, that's just my point of view. That's what I think is gonna happen. It could be completely misread. Like, no, what are you talking about? But
no, well,
I think it's gonna get thrown onto the
it.
new administration. The Byrd rule, whatever does
Byrd
law rule.
No, I was just repeating what you said initially. Yeah, I don't know what it's called.
So they got right under that. So it's gonna be a burden for the next. I mean, think about it.
Yeah. No, that's very clever.
Nobody knows about it. Yeah, they're like, wait, what? 1.5 trillion? Wait, what? What are you talking about?
Well, and people were complaining. It's like, well, raise the debt ceiling this much. It's like, well, legally they can do that. There's no problem. But I didn't realize that. That's why the 5-year rule came into effect.
Yes.
That's how do you estimate? Well, then how do you estimate taxes that last forever? I don't get how that works. You know how? Because they have to say, well, this is how much debt it's going to add, and I wonder. How does that work when you have these tax deductions on companies that are always going to benefit from it that have dropped from 39 point whatever to 21-ish? And how do they estimate those numbers to be like, oh, it's going to be about 1.6 trillion. Is it based off a given time period?
I mean,
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out, but I don't know if you would just look at past data.
Yeah.
But what I think they try to do is think of how those companies are going to reinvest their money and try to boost the economy.
Ideally.
So let's say they hit 10 trillion. Like, well, we believe 6 trillion is going to be made up because they reinvested in jobs and for infrastructure. And those could be, nobody knows. How would you know? How would you know what a company's going to do?
You're just like, well, since we're giving this company more money, clearly they're going to hire more people.
Yes.
Give them better vacation days.
Their CEO is not going to go from 50 million to 55, but
there's no way. Why would they do that? He makes plenty of money.
Yeah.
What do you mean he wants more money?
That's not how the world works around here.
If only it was. Well, okay, what do you think about the net neutrality? That's a good topic.
I don't know anything about it.
Okay, so this is what my dad explained to me. So, as people can tell, a lot of the information I get from my dad. So, it's very biased. He's 100%. Yeah, he says he's liberal, but I'd say he swings way to the Democrat side. He might like the gun part of Republicans, but then he's like, we should take them all away. I don't know. He's a great guy, though. And my brother also explained it to me, so we'll use his point of view. They're basically saying internet companies used to have, let's say you're on a highway. This is how my dad explained it. You're on a highway. Everyone has access to it. There's one main speed limit. Everyone goes the same pace. You get from point A to point B. You can get off whenever you want just as easily as anybody else.
The Autobahn.
Yeah, exactly. Much faster, though. Anyways, now imagine you want to get off at this exit. Now this exit can be a toll roll. So you got to start paying to get access to it. So, for instance, let's say, you got internet access. Oh, you want YouTube? That's going to be extra. Oh, you want Netflix? Well, we don't support Netflix. But if you pay us extra money, we can give you Netflix. And then they can purposely slow down the stream from a website for whatever reason they want. For instance, is AT&T that has DirecTV? Yeah, they don't want Netflix. So their internet provider, they're going to sit there and say, oh, we don't know what's going on with Netflix.
But then they'll lose a lot of subscribers.
Yeah, they say that, but then who's going to offer Netflix? Basically, this power surge that Netflix has got, companies are going to offer it, like the people who supply DirecTV, so on and so forth. I'm like, yeah, you can have that, but it's going to cost you money. Not us directly. It's going to cost Netflix more money for them to offer it. So then in return, your Netflix account's going to start costing more because it costs them more. And then now our $15 a month for 4 screens is going to end up being $25, $30, and then eventually it's going to be the equivalent of cable. Which ideally Netflix is still better.
Said that the smaller companies are going to be the ones hurting because Google and Facebook, they can eat those costs.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But you're trying to start something. You're trying to get people to go to you. They're like, whoa, every click I make on that is 10 cents. No, or like I don't know how it's going to work. But
sending an email. Think about that. I mean, because everything's digital now. You're not going to advertise with pieces of paper on a telephone pole. Well, you could.
But you get somebody who's into that net neutrality. I'm sure that's going to be interesting. Well, going forward, see what I mean, I don't know if it still has to go to this Congress.
I don't know where it's at.
I believe so.
I just remember seeing like a ton of memes and a ton of people saying like just found out net neutrality's in there, downloaded like 8 million gigabytes of porn so that they don't have to worry about it again. I don't see why. I just don't like the idea of it because I think it's a shared network system. Like it's shared data.
Isn't Tesla trying to do something about that? Or no, Elon Musk. I'm sorry.
What's he trying to do?
Create his own internet. Is what
he's trying to create his own internet.
Yeah.
He might as well, right? He's creating his own like subway system throughout the states. I think the plan was like the first test was from LA to San Francisco.
Okay.
Or San Diego to San Francisco, basically from south to north to south, California. And then they have one where it'll go from like LA to Houston. It's like a hyperloop where it'll just blast you right on over, and you're not taking off. You have less regulations.
The way the bullet trains work in Europe.
You actually rode one?
Yeah, from London to Paris, an hour and a half or 2. It was super fast.
Oh yeah,
I got there.
Security check lines.
20 minutes before.
That'd be nice.
You don't have to get like international travel 3 hours before or 2 hours before.
As they always recommend.
30 minutes before, you get to eat. You get so much room. We upgraded. It's like $20 extra to upgrade to like first class. Like, okay, so we got breakfast. You get to look out the window of the countryside.
That's so nice.
Dude, it was so fast. I don't know how fast it was. 250 kilometers per hour.
But it was actually the bullet train.
Yeah.
See, I rode it in a regular train, and
It's a big difference.
Oh, I still preferred it because
Yeah.
I was sitting there. It was like a plane flight. First off, from Basel, Switzerland to Milan, Italy. I just wanted to go there for a day while I was out there for work. It was $300. The train was $150, so I was like, well, I'll take the train and I'm gonna enjoy the sights. And if you think about it, you get there 2 hours early because you want to make sure you're there for your flight. You go on the check-in. You now fly, take off, you get your luggage. Eventually, this 2 hour flight, that was like 5 hours.
Yeah.
And it took me 4 hours on the train.
You saw everything.
And I saw everything, and it was comfortable. I didn't have all of this, like, nasty people that I had to sit to. I didn't have a tight spot.
Yes.
I could get up and stand. That there was no, like, you got to stay seated for this. We're going to go through rough air. It was smooth, and it was nice, enjoyable. You got to go through the Swiss Alps. It was amazing.
I love that.
I wish they had trains around where we are. I don't see.
That's how we got around this last year. And then from Paris to
In Europe?
Amsterdam, bullet train again.
Well, you might as well. It's
And
gonna
then
be
I
cheaper
took
and
a
easier.
small. I took the regular train on the way to Wolfsburg, but that took 5 hours. But even that was enjoyable.
Yeah.
Because I was going through these countryside. You're like, man, this is like in World War
Really
II.
pretty land.
These guys
Yeah.
are running through these,
Oh yeah.
and the houses are different. I loved it.
Well, that was one thing. When I was out in Germany, there was a place that my grandfather was stationed in France called Colmar.
Oh wow.
And when I was there, well, he said, it was like, it's a crappy town. You don't want to go to it. I look it up. It's like Little Venice. It's a little river. You can get on boats. You go to restaurants on the boats and everything. It is beautiful, but it all happened after the war.
Yeah.
And so, like, what he remembers is, like, buildings knocked down, like, random water going everywhere, spilling all over them, just, like, mad because it's cold. And I sent him a picture. He was like, wow, it's really pretty. And then when I go to California, it says luxury living. The picture I sent him was the exact same location where the cover was on that magazine.
really?
Yeah. Oh, I grabbed it and I was like, oh my God, Grandma Bernie, this is what I picked. And when I showed him the picture, it was the same thing. Mine was in the day. This was at night. It was the funniest thing. I was like, oh man, it really is nice out there. I don't know why they're sitting there like, oh, luxury living in California. This is France.
You wouldn't know that.
See all this water? You know, gotta have it. All that good stuff. Well, man, I think we have done.
All right.
We've done about an hour. Yeah, I'm not going to kid you. I think we've done probably an hour to the T. You want to call it a quits?
Yeah.
Man, it's good having you on. Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
on and talking about avocados, CPA, tax bill, businesses, traveling on the bullet train. We had good topics.
There's a lot, yeah.
There was one pause point, and I didn't know how to continue, so I appreciate you bumping it in.
No problem, man.
All right, man. You take it easy.
Thanks.